I'm Chris Houghtaling. I am co-founder and CEO of Raiselink. Raiselink is a platform for the startup ecosystem that we're building to help bring efficiencies and data to startups and accelerators, incubators, anyone that really is working with and supporting startups. And we are just now finishing up testing of the platform and starting the launch of it. So if anyone's interested, it's Raiselink, RAISELINK.co.
Diversified Game. Learn how to start, run, and sustain your business.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, I really think for Chris, I need to be able to put some other title like Sir or Doctor, because he's done so much. I'm like, has he been knighted at all? Maybe if he stayed just a little bit longer in Austria, he would have got knighted. But there's so much, and the best is yet to come. That's the great thing about keep on living. But today, he's going to give us the game, especially for you entrepreneurs who are just starting, figuring it out, or maybe going to the next level. Hopefully Raiselink and everything else that he's doing and those experiences, you get something out of it to help you move forward. Chris, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I appreciate that great introduction. But I'll tell you what, when I was in the National Guard, they asked me to go through OCS, Officer Cadet School, Candidate School, and I said, no, I'm happy being a sergeant, because that is where the action happens, just like entrepreneurship.
Wow.
So
okay. So you want to be in the middle. You want to be in, you don't want to be just in the office telling people. You want to be hands-on. Where does that come from?
Probably my parents, my family, everyone worked hard, whether it was, grandparents that were farmers and laborers to my dad, who gave up his 57 Chevy to put diapers on me while I was going to college on the GI Bill and working nights as a security.
Okay, I can hear you now. For some reason, and I'm going to just take these off just in case. For some reason,
you have to go to Reddit to see it. The Zoom is muting people. I don't know why, but we'll just check that periodically. So if I do this, that means Zoom.
Okay.
I'm hands-free, so I don't know why it does that. But I heard 57 Chevy, and then
so let me wrap up. So anyway, so I was 6 months old, year old. My dad decides to he sells his 57 Chevy to feed me and put diapers on me, and says he's going to college in the GI Bill, and decides to move from New York to Kentucky, and he's going to school full time. He's working nights as a security guard full time at some people call it the Henry Clay home. Other people call it the birthplace of Cassius Clay, and which is what he called it. And just from day one, learn to work hard and take pride in what you do. Nothing's going to be handed to you.
At all. And what do you think is one of the top 1 or 2 mistakes you see entrepreneurs, having that is, constant, where you're like, I don't want to see this again, or I'm going to scream or choke somebody?
So there's one is that they don't realize how hard it is, and they're not willing to take coaching or advice from anyone. That's definitely one. And entrepreneurs absolutely have to take advice. Look, I've coached thousands of people, mentored thousands of startups, and a coach needs a coach. I will say that all the time. A coach needs a coach. The other thing is something that I call founderitis. Goes along the same lines, but founderitis is when a founder thinks they know everything and knows it the right way. And they're just, blinders are on, they're just moving forward without willing to explore, take advice, go find out. Their customers may want something, they may need something, but they may not know. And so you got to figure out a lot of things. You have to just be willing to listen, take advice, and not think you know it all.
Okay, I don't mean to hurt feelings. And so if you're probably under 30, just prepare. But is this a generational age thing? Because we are in a time of I know, I know. People ask you a question, you start to answer, oh, I know. And it's a natural thing that they say. And it's like, but you don't know anything about this topic. Is this
You know, I do think there is some of that as a father of three teenage daughters. I definitely know there's some of that. It's an age thing. I knew everything, right? Until I went away and made my mistakes. But in entrepreneurship, I think it's not just that. I see so many people with 30, 40-year corporate careers that try to become entrepreneurs. You know, I was this. I'm gonna. This is what people want. And this is how it's going to be done. And I'm going to go do it. And you know, just all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, this is hard. I don't know, whatever." And they don't know how to respond. So no, I have seen it with people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Although teens and 20s, maybe a little more.
wow. Okay. So that gets you guys off the hook if you are under 30. Now, Raiselink, from what I learned, and Chris is on the Palm Beach State College board, and so am I, and a slew of others. And I just love to hear all the stories. And so I had to bother him because I was like, wow, this guy has done a lot. Where is his book so we can go read it? We're going to bother him about that later because we've kind of talked about books in the time he doesn't have, but maybe we can find him a ghostwriter or somebody to help him with that AI now, right?
That's right.
But with all that, you know, you're doing. Raiselink is it a free service? And if it's not, what is that price before, you know, people start hitting you up and asking you for more time and more help that you may or may not have?
So okay, so on Raiselink, we've got two separate platforms or two different customers we're targeting. One are entrepreneurs, and one are what I call in the industry are called ecosystem partners, accelerators, incubators, event organizers, investors, corporates, anybody who's working with startups and looking for startups. On the startup side, on the entrepreneur side, Raiselink is really an investment readiness platform. What we do is you can create a free account. You go in, you're going to be asked about 85 questions about your company. Now, don't worry, only 3 of them are more than 50 characters and half of them are point and click. But you have to have an idea of what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, that's okay, because it's designed to help you get ready to talk to investors, banks, and others. There is something that, you know, there's a process that everyone goes through when they're thinking about helping out an entrepreneur. It's, you know, who's the team and why are they doing this? So some's team. And then it's, you know, what problem are you solving? How do you think you're going to solve it? How are customers going to use this? Who are your customers? What's your potential? And what do you need to be successful? Basically, we collect all that data. So anything that you're going to present to, you know, you go for an SBA loan, you're going to want to present a business plan. It's kind of an outline of a business plan, or would help you get started to know what you need to put in, create for support documentation. If you are brainstorming an idea, it's going to walk you through kind of all that. Business model canvas may be a little bit better for brainstorming, but once you've done the business model canvas, hop right on Raiselink. You can create your account and you can constantly update it. It's free. The only thing we ever charge entrepreneurs for is we create a PDF executive summary of that data that you enter. And it's exactly what any investor, loan officer, anybody else that's going to want to get that 30-second snapshot of your company is going to want to look at. So if you're having meetings, it's a great calling card. If you're sending email introductions to investors, it's a great introduction before you send them a nice long pitch deck that they, quite frankly, get thousands of every year. And think about it. If it takes them 7 minutes on average to go through a pitch deck just to say, yeah, I'm interested, no, I'm not, like a resume, the first level screening of a resume is in 30 seconds and 90% are no's, I'm not interested. Instead of sending them that, sending them an executive summary where they in 30 seconds can understand everything is a lot more powerful than sending them a pitch deck that they may or may not look at, or they're probably going to have their analysts look at. And they look at hundreds a day.
And that's for, you know, the you have the startups and the ecosystem partners. Give them, just because some people will say, wow, these prices, $500 a year, 99, you know, in your business, you'd think, oh, okay, these are all, you know, things you can write off on your taxes. But some people have so much going on. They might want to do both. Is that advisable? And just the differences for those who might say, you know, what do I get? And it's a beautiful website. Links are in the description, but I want to make it dummy proof so people don't pay $500 a year and say, actually, I needed the 99.
Yeah, for the startups, it's free to come on. It's $100 a year for the upgrade to the unwatermarked executive summary to download, print, email. That's it for startups, for entrepreneurs. You don't need to worry about the other side. So what are you getting? You are very simply getting a profile builder, or it'll walk you through question by question everything that you need to be able to answer succinctly and quickly for anyone who's going to give you money or become a strategic partner, especially early on.
What differences? Because I always, before we bring on board anyone, I ask potential clients, have you gone to the SBA? Have you gone to SCORE? Have you gone to PTAC, Apex Accelerators? And, you know, I've gone through all those things with different businesses, and to get an SBA loan, the SBA, you know, after a month or so, will give you a beautiful packet to take to the bank that you're supposed to get a guaranteed approved as long as you have the 20%. Doesn't always work like that, folks. But that's because the banks don't want to deal with the SBA. It's more about that than you a lot of times. But what is the difference, or what else is put into the package when we go to Raiselink? You know, is there any differences in what we get from the SBA versus Raiselink?
So, well, definitely. You're going to get a lot more from the SBA today. Okay. So that, let me make that clear. We're not trying to replace the SBA. We never will. We have some long-term goals, you know, that are in development that'll hopefully work with the SBA, work with SCORE, work with mentors and others that will enhance your ability to get to the point where you're ready to go talk to the bank. But let's be clear about this. And I'm going to answer your question indirectly. You know, it's banks' jobs to say no. It's not their job to say yes. You know, and I don't know what the percentage is for non-technical startups, but I got to imagine it's less than 20% of all entrepreneurs that apply for an SBA loan ever get a loan. It's probably single digits. If you're a startup and you're going after investment money, only 1% of startups ever get investment money past friends, family, and fools, the 3 Fs. And they're affectionately called fools because they're the ones that take the chance and stuff like that. And they're, you know, friends and family are always going to tell you it's great, it's great. And oh, you need 5,000, here's 5,000 if they have it, right? But to really go somewhere, you need that investment money. You get 1% get investment as a startup, as a technical startup. That's it. Entrepreneurship, I know it's also just as hard. I mean, and I'm talking to all kinds of people lately, the last 6 months, where they not only have the 20%, but they got 50% and they can't get the loan. So you got to know what you're talking about, and you have to sound confident in what you're talking about. So the way we set up Raiselink for the entrepreneurs is to help them be very specific on, you know, who their target market is, what additional markets are going to buy it, who's their competition, what sets them apart from their competition. All of this is collected in very short answers in the profile builder, which then when you go in and talk, you know, talking to a bank officer, talking to an investor, it's the first 5 seconds, 10 seconds that are going to make the difference of whether you get that loan or you get that investment. You don't get 3 minutes to pitch them. You don't get 30 seconds. Everything now, like you were saying earlier about nobody wants to pay attention, you know, and boil it down and nobody wants, it is honest to God, if you don't make that first impression in the first few seconds, their brain goes off to the thousand other things that they're thinking about. And if you start answering questions and going all over the place, now I know I did that a little bit here because I wanted to set the stage for the answer. But if you don't get to the point as you know, if I'm sitting here and I'm evaluating you for a loan, you know, as I have time to listen to your story, my brain starts to wander on the 1,000 other things I have to do at work and the 5,000 things I have to do at home. And God forbid, my dog got sick this morning, or somebody, you know, my kid hit something with the car. Yeah, you don't have any control over that. So if you can't get to where they are in their brain and answer questions quickly to keep them engaged, you're done. Raiselink helps with that.
That's needed. It's necesito. Can it be done where, you know, they get the information, and then is Raiselink also telling them where, you know, possible investors may, you know, them on the Raiselink platform?
So today we do have some investors on the Raiselink platform. And if you put your information on the platform, the information will be passed to all the investors, corporate, anybody, any ecosystem partner who has an account will have access to your information. We put the control in them to reach back out to you. Okay, there's a specific reason why we do this. And this is one goal that I have of Raiselink for entrepreneurs. On average, it's an hour per application that you spend, if not more. And if you're spending an hour on an application and you have less than a 1% chance of getting a response, not money, a response as a startup, again, entrepreneurs, it might be a little higher. I don't know the data. You know, so you got to fill out 100 applications for investment to actually get an investor to go past maybe a phone call with you on average. So that's 100 hours that you could have been out there getting revenue. On Raiselink, if your data goes into Raiselink and we could put it out to 100 investors immediately, or 100 corporations that could be strategic partners immediately, isn't that 99 and a half hours? Because if you know what you're doing, it only takes you 30 minutes on Raiselink. And the great thing is, even if you don't, you start it and you just come back to it later, and the data will constantly be updated and presented to the investors and others as you update it. So that's the power of Raiselink for entrepreneurs. Now, and I do not promote Raiselink as a place where you're going to come and get money. Why? Because if only 1% of investors startups get money from investors, and most of them are through warm introductions, the percentage to get investment blindly, coldly on a platform is, if not single digits, less than 1%. Nobody's actually done the actual data, but I can tell you in 10 years working with startups, it is basically almost nobody that gets it cold. So we will do that. And as we become better known, I think we'll be able to increase that percentage, maybe from point something to 1 to 2 over time. But the best thing that Raiselink does for you is help you organize your thoughts so you can answer the questions. You can speak better with the SBA, with SCORE, whoever your mentors are, other things, and have confidence when you go in face to face to be able to present yourself quickly and answer their questions quickly and sharply.
So you guys, for those who say, hey, I'm an investor, go on the platform. Links are in the description. I want to even push it even further and see the vision of Raiselink, because you and I have briefly talked about, you know, when is Raiselink and Florida Funders, an organization I'm a part of, small member, because I'm nosy and want to see what's going on. But when does Raiselink, Florida Funders, and maybe even Facebook all come together and have one heck of a startup week? Maybe we invite, you know, Kevin O'Leary, whatnot, right? And have a Shark Tank. I mean, we live in a beautiful place. We should be out here talking with everyone who needs money and showing off. Because in California, they do this and they can't even afford to live there. But many of the people.
Yeah. So to God's ears, or whoever you pray to, and I could care less if it's somebody in a tree or what, as long as you respect. It's probably going to be a year. The platform's out there now. If you're an investor and you want to come on Raiselink, if you're one investor and you just want to see what's out there, if you want to have startups or people apply to you, you can come on for $500 a year, and you get an application link, you get a profile build of yourself, a inbox that gives you an alignment score to show how aligned the entrepreneur is to what you're looking for. So you could do that first level screening that I said took 7 minutes in seconds. We then present all that information that's on the PDF in a nice organized manner with links to LinkedIn profiles, websites, and so on. So you can do your second level screening in about a third of the time to decide, yes, this is an entrepreneur I want to start a conversation with. There's an integrated pipeline. If you can upgrade to $1,000 a year and get a review committee scoring as well. And if you have like a team like Florida Funders does to review the startups before you send them out to the general for investment, to limited partners and so on for investment. But the event, gosh, we're talking to some event organizers. I very much look forward to that day. But when we do it, I want to do it right, because I was lucky enough to experience some really fabulous events in Europe. Web Summit with some 70,000 people. Slush that happens in Helsinki. If you're a real good tech startup, and you want to go international, Slush is someplace you definitely have to go, or Bits and Pretzels in Munich that is attached to Oktoberfest of all things. You definitely want to end up out there. But I don't know. We're going to have to work on that and plan it, because when I do one, I want not 500, not 5,000, but 50,000 people there when we do one.
Hello, everyone. Come along with London and Sydney as they show you around the vibrant country of Cameroon. We explore the heart of Africa through the eyes of London and Sydney. Two explorers who journey across the great city of Yaoundé, exploring its rich culture, vibrant market squares, cultural heritage, and wildlife. With giggles and excitement, London and Sydney Explore Cameroon takes you on a fun-filled adventure, providing insight into the country's culture and traditions through the pages of this book. It's packed with exciting stories and super cool facts about Cameroon that will make you go, wow. Get your copy now, available on Amazon and in libraries near you. There's only one easy way to experience the exploration of Cameroon, and it's through London and Sydney. Don't wait, get yours.
And startup week, I know from coming from Seattle was such a big thing. I haven't seen such a big one outside of Seattle and San Francisco. But yeah, it's just beautiful to see, the people come together. Everybody, this is what makes the country great, is because in many countries, you can't start a business as easily and as cheaply. You have to wait in line sometimes. It takes a lot. So outside, I just came back from Rwanda where it takes 6 hours, and in Sierra Leone, they'll come to your hotel. Try doing this in South Africa or Cameroon or Turkey. You're not going to even want to have the business. It's not the same. It's not the same. So we're really blessed that we can go online in our comfortable places and just create a business. And unless you're in Massachusetts, it costs you less than, $500 to do. But those common law states are interesting. But with the investors, before the investors get too, excited, do you need to be a qualified or a sophisticated investor? Because, everybody now is rich. Everybody's a dang philanthropist until you look in their bank account.
Exactly. No, you don't, because we are not making introductions. So this is very important. We are not a broker dealer. We are not making introductions. We simply are a platform with data. And the real purpose is to help people organize their data and improve their processes, and get more data analytics. Now, does that mean you might end up meeting an investor? Sure, but you might do that on Facebook or LinkedIn. I mean, a lot of people use LinkedIn. A lot of people join groups in LinkedIn. Does that mean the group is a broker? No. It could happen. You could get investment there. There's lots of places that you can make a connection to get investment. So we are not at all making recommendations on the startups. That alignment score I talked about is controlled by the ecosystem partners. So we just have over 40 sets of data sets that we put into an algorithm. You control how important they are from 1 to 5 and all that. And I think that's a fabulous thing. But something else that we're working on, I've had a few meetings. We're going to keep, and you asked about the future of Raiselink, right? We want to keep adding more services. So eventually we're going to have for example, a legal platform, so that all those legal documents that you can do yourself without getting a lawyer, although I always recommend at least talking to SCORE or SBA or SBDC to get some help there. But a lot of these things you could do on your own, and people just need to know where to go or where to find them. We want to try to bring as much of this as possible onto Raiselink over time and provide a lot of resources for everyone that'll continue to enhance the data that we're providing. But that is definitely a longer conversation for another time.
Okay, and we're here for it when you say, hey, Kellen, I have some more, because I just want to give the people a taste so they can go tap into everything that, we're talking about, because you have so much more. And I'm going to, jumpstart it to even talk about your business, but also let us know in this reply, what is a community give back outside of Raiselink? I mean, it's your job, but you're doing a lot for the community, that you want to do or that you're doing, and maybe it ties into your personal business as well. Let the people know, please.
Yeah. So my passion is helping entrepreneurs. Really, really is. And so some of the things that I'm doing, one is the veterans. My brain went to 2 places at once, which happens a lot with entrepreneurs. So number of things. Veterans group here at FAU at the Adams Center of Entrepreneurship. I'm working with Kevin Cox, not lecturing. We don't lecture entrepreneurs. We're guiding them through a program sponsored by Florida Veterans and Veterans Association to just help veterans get their business up and running or solve problems they have and get going. So we're doing that Thursdays right now. We are taking interest for the next cohort that'll be in a few months. So if anybody's interested, go to FAU's Adams Center of Innovation website. Kevin's got links on there, and take a look. So that's one great source. And I've mentored in the past with Kevin on these. I, as a startup in FAU's Tech Runway, even though I've worked with 40 or 50 different accelerators and incubators around the world, with Raiselink, I said, we have to go through the program and actually experience what entrepreneurs are experiencing while we're building this. So I'm here. I know that's a great resource and great mentors. I'm part of the venture mentoring team, which is over 260 mentors that I think 60 of us 60 of them, not me, speak Spanish. Probably about a half of us speak at least a second language. And we pro bono will mentor startups and entrepreneurs. You apply, we do a pitch scrub, and as long as 2 or more mentors are willing to mentor you, you're taken. It's that simple. We look for the mentee to give a lot of effort and a lot of work, because that's your company. You're responsible for all the success. You're not just the founder, but you are, the dishwasher and the basket weaver and the finance guy. Above all, you're the salesperson. But you got to do it all. So we mentor, we guide you and help. And you can find out about that at thevmt.org. I'm on the programming selection committee at the Levan Center of Innovation, which has many different programs, also another veterans program. down in Davie, Florida, starting at idea stage startups, all the way through acceleration stage startups. They have a space program for startups now. I'm an entrepreneur in resident at my alma mater, the University of Kentucky, and work with startups there. There's more, but you all get the hint. What I would say is, in general, look for an accelerator incubator. If find something, even if you're not as a tech startup like Tech Runway, not that you have to necessarily be developing tech, but with Tech Runway, they look for startups that are at least using innovative technology in their solution to customers. In fact, we have a nonprofit who's going through now, who is creating a system to help people who are financially a little disadvantaged go through the home loan process to try to get their first loan. And that's a nonprofit. It's a startup here at Tech Runway. So reach out to these resources, find resources, listen to them, take their advice, because we all do this because we love to try to help people get better at what they do.
Can you talk about the entrepreneur in residence programs? It's like you're doing two of them at the same time. Those are invite only type things. Many people say, wow, you have to be special because they're going to pay you so much to just show up. If somebody wants to do that, what process, what do you need to do besides just keep living and you maybe keep begging, but what did you do to get into?
All right. So, Tech Runway is, am I an entrepreneur? Yes, I'm an entrepreneur in resident because I'm going through the cohort, but, I think, and this is a problem in the startup ecosystem, in the startup world, definitions. It's very loose. Like, what's a seed stage startup? According to PitchBook, it's whatever the startup puts.
Yeah.
So you could be a seed, a pre-seed, a Series A startup, an investment round. So some entrepreneurship and EIRs are definitely paid. Some are not. Some are designed to provide you all kinds of resources. And that's the one that I'm at with FAU Tech Runway. Great mentors, great connections, great resources, and it's a year-long program, so it lets people go through the processes. Others, like what I do at the University of Kentucky, it's basically a glorified mentor title. So, for example, I'm working with one startup now, it's a university faculty member invention that is basically created a new solvent to help recycle batteries and get all the precious metals out of batteries at a much more efficient rate. And so I joined them as the IM through the National Science Foundation's I-Corps, which is designed specifically for academic-based startups, which anybody can kind of become an academic-based startup if you go find a professor or partner in a university that wants to work with you. So keep that in mind. So this is where I've kind of joined the team for a short period of time to help them through this program, because they have to do, and this is the great thing about the NSF I-Corps program, which I recommend every entrepreneur, no matter what I don't care if you're opening a pizza shop, a taco truck, a dress shop, or a hair salon, or some super high-tech thing. The first thing you got to do once you have your idea and you say, yes, I'm going to do this, and I know I'm going to have to work tooth and nail, night and day to make this happen, is go out and talk to 100 people. Just ask them about not your solution, about your problem. And that's exactly what this NSF I-Corps program does over about a 3-month period. So I ended up spending like 1 month almost full time working with them, also non-paid. So it's all volunteer. But it's a great program. So that gives you some idea on them, and hopefully helps the listeners out there get an idea. There's something for everyone out there for help. You just got to find what's right for you and what you feel comfortable in, and where you make a connection with the people that are there, because that's the most important.
I could go on for hours, but great storytellers know when to try to wrap it up. But for the next time, or even for your upcoming book or podcast that you decide to do, because you have teenagers at home, they can help you and be part of the staff and take,
That's right.
your CPA will tell you can pay them 12. I think it's 12,500, and they,
Okay.
write off. But the next thing that I'd love for you to talk about, and I don't want to go into it right now, people, because I want you guys to say, oh, we want more, and then go check out what Chris has. I want you to bother him on LinkedIn even to get his podcast started, because you can do it straight from the phone. It doesn't have to be anything big in a studio to start. But when you're doing all this, especially when you talk about volunteer, this is the question next time we'll answer, or he'll answer it on his podcast. How do you get your spouse to go with all this volunteer hours and you have kids? That we will cover in another topic. But Chris, I want you to let them know where to find you, when we can expect this podcast, or when you'll start writing the book. And, I hope to continue this relationship and go further.
We're definitely going to continue the relationship. I love this. I enjoy just sitting here chatting with you and the audience extension, but definitely we're going to continue the conversation. The book podcast, my oldest graduated from high school this past weekend, so I'm getting one, as I'm affectionately saying, to the halfway house, in this case UCF, it looks like. And she's hopefully off and running. Unfortunately, I can't draw a straight line. So all of you entrepreneurs out there that are welders and builders and craftsmen, I am very jealous, because, when I was in woodshop class in junior high, my shelf looked about like that. And I knew that I better focus on business, but I may have some time coming up.
Okay. And I'm just curious, because I found out 3 years ago, I think it was maybe 4 years ago, I was dyslexic, and people laugh and they're like, how'd you finish a grad program? Were you dyslexic at all? With the straight uncricket lines.
I would say, I don't know. I've never been tested. My wife is, and she's been tested, and one thing I'm going to make a shout out here to anybody who has influence in the educational world. The U.S. is falling so far behind in dyslexic education that it's pitiful. It's a travesty. In Austria, my daughters were tested, and if you have dyslexia, you basically, for 4 years throughout elementary school and into middle school, you are given at state expense training to help your brain learn how to make the connections that dyslexics don't have compared to non-dyslexics. And this is so important, and it can make such a difference. I know firsthand a student that was struggling and failing through first and second grade that went through this training and has been able to take complete a Cambridge certificate, take almost 10 or 12 AP courses in high school, graduate with like a 3.7, 3.8, somewhere around there, and I don't know what on the unweighted scale, or do amazing things. And I think Charles Branson has said it the best himself. He didn't know he was dyslexic in school, and he was bored. He got terrible grades. The teachers didn't know what to do with him. And he just kind of fluffed around in life. And now he's Richard Branson. And he said, just imagine if I got the proper education and training early on to be able to manage it. And manage is the right word, because it's always there, I've learned. I don't know if I have it or not. I certainly didn't used to have patience, but with 4 women in the house, I've learned patience. At least I think I have. They still sometimes doubt it. So I don't know what to say, but thank you for letting me go on that little public information spiel there. And I hope somebody in government and education is listening, because I know that's a problem in the United States and even in some of the school districts where you would not think that would be a problem. We've talked to elementary school teachers who say we have gotten zero training on how to spot and help dyslexia.
That's going to be a highlight because it's personal to me, because where they want to put a child in the class back in, the 80s, you would have been in the same class of someone with extreme learning disabilities and maybe mobile disabilities, like with a helmet on the head. And if not for parents, that would be like, no, there's nothing wrong with them. Just beat them or something, right? Because this is back in the day, y'all. But yeah.
It is so sad. I agree. I hope you take this segment out and post it separate. But my daughter got involved she went to Boca Community High School, the public high school, and it's a great high school, unbelievable. It was just actually all the ones in Boca and Palm Beach County is a great school system, and that's one reason we moved here. We looked at the schools first before we decided where to move, and they have something called Boca Buddies that take the kids that need the help, the kids that do have a struggle, and other kids become their buddies. They sit with them at lunch. They held dances for them and other events just for them. And she said, and of course, I don't know all the details. I'm hearing this from my teenage daughter, but when she joined, there was just a couple of them, and she took on social media and did that. And I guess they grew the organization to a few hundred kids. So at Boca Community High School, a few hundred kids in Boca Buddies over the last couple of years. So the help is there. And this new generation, while we talked earlier, they want to, everything's headlines, everything's, 80 characters or less and whatnot. Which is why in Raiselink, we actually only have three questions that are more than 50 characters, partially. But everyone just wants the headlines, and you gotta dig deeper because there's a lot more underneath the surface. But this generation, while they only read the headlines, a lot of adults unfortunately do too. I do see a lot more giving back to the community all of a sudden. So that gives me some hope.
That is awesome. And like I said, I tell the audience, the ones who've been following, they know when I taught 15 years ago, there were principals who'd say, these kids, don't even teach them science, just it's babysitting, right? And the other classes where people really have mobile issues, it was like they're not getting the care, and you just feel like not everybody is as stupid as you think they are. They might have their issues, but this could be a genius right here. A lot of these kids with ADHD and different things, that's the Elon Musk, the Asperger's and this things, but you have to want to have time to put in. And I know the teachers are underpaid and overworked. I know, but again, we could go on for days, y'all. If you guys want to make a push to go lobby, I do it once a year at least in Tallahassee, but I'm open to, raise hell, because at this point, there's nothing they can really do to me for what I'm going to say. You can't take any business away from me. We've created it. So I thank God for that. But Chris, let them know again where they can find you. I'm going to have links in the description.
That's right. Okay. So raiselink.co, raiselink.co. You can find me on LinkedIn. It's Chris, and the last name is long, and not long as the last name. It's I'm sure that it's going to be written out for y'all, but it's Houghtaling, Houghtaling, and connect with me on LinkedIn. I always get back to people, even if sometimes it does take a week or two. If on those rare occasions I go offline for a few days or a week, happens about once a year and a couple of weekends a year. But reach out to me, connect with me, and hello@raiselink.co if you have questions. But for startups, it's free. Just sign up. It's super easy. Sign up, fill out your profile, you're done.
All right. Well, I know the majority of your listeners, and I thank you on the Apple, Podbean, Spotify, all those places, but go over to the YouTube and check out that, make sure you put a comment, like, most importantly, I want you to share this game with someone. It's going to change someone's life. And if you want to see more of Chris and his book and his podcast, the links are in the description. If you want Chris to run for office because he sounds more sane than any politician here in Florida or in the nation, you go bother him about that as well, too, and tell him how much money you're willing to put in for his campaign, because it's not getting any cheaper. You guys, thank you. Share the game. Be blessed.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stress the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand, or 10,000 Kenyan shillings, or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from Kellen Cash, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.